just why you want to, eat more chocolate. It's not it.
All right, here we are. Welcome to Mood, Food, and the Art of Self-Care. It is February 15th, day after Valentine's. Happy post-Valentine's. Anything special for Valentine's?
Valentine's. Chocolate.
Chocolate?
Mm-hmm. Chocolate.
Flowers at the office. That was nice.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Chocolates and flowers.
All the things.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, we're going to jump in. We sent out, for people who have pre-registered, we sent out a little box of fun chocolates. These are some of our favorites. Because today we're going to, so feel free to enjoy those as we're going through the talk today. Let us know what you think of those.
Hi, Carlina. Hi.
Hey, Erica.
Erica, hi.
Yeah, perfect.
Did you guys get your little box?
Yeah, Erica says thanks for the chocolates.
Yay.
Fun, good.
Okay.
So feel free to enjoy those as we're talking about. We're going to go through the benefits of chocolate, so that maybe we feel a little less guilty for indulging in moderation, right? There's some health benefits to chocolate. Angel's going to dive a lot into the mental or the neural benefits. So not just, there's heart health factors as well, but mentally and neurologically, how's that impacting things? And then we'll at some point transition into just some self-care ideas and bullet points. So first of all, of the three pieces, what's your favorite piece of chocolate?
Okay, I cannot pick a favorite because it really depends on what kind of mood I'm in that day, right? Okay, and as we're going to learn, the mood, whatever mood I'm in that day is probably going to affect the type of chocolate I pick up because if I feel like I need a pick-me-up, exactly, then I'm definitely going for the chocolate, this double chocolate truffle, this classic dark truffle here. Your XOXOs, they actually have a little bit of salted caramel in it. So that's a lot of fun. There's a little surprise there. But if I don't need as much of a lift, then, I'll probably go somewhere in the middle. And then there's just chocolate, just dark chocolate. This is from Lake Champlain, actually. So I'll just let you know about these companies. Ooh, salty caramel. Yes, so good. Yes, truffle for sure, she says. Awesome. Okay, so all of these are all organic chocolates, and that's going to be really important when we're talking about trying to derive some health benefits from this, because you want to be free of chemicals and fertilizers and pesticides and fungicides and yeast molds and heavy metals and all those things, right, that could actually adulterate what the potential benefit has in it, which we'll go over. So make sure it's organic. All of these studies, most of this research is done on chocolate, dark chocolate that's 70% or higher, okay?
Which, also the way they engineer it, right, you can probably get away with less of it because it's so much more rich. You're going to get a lot more of the taste factor, and it's not as much of the, milky chocolate that's more designed to get you to eat more of it.
That's right. And actually, the higher the chocolate content, the higher the dark chocolate, the higher the fat content, you're actually going to be able to stabilize blood sugar a lot better. The higher the content, the less sugar also it has in it. So it's not going to give you that, crash, right? So, and it doesn't give you that false sense of umami because it's untainted, where you're just going to want to go and get a whole bunch more. One will usually do the trick, actually, which is pretty awesome, okay?
Maybe.
maybe. Okay, so what...
Not always.
Right? Not always. What kind of tricks? But you just talked about the heart health benefit. There is a heart health benefit to this, right? So it's the flavonoids that are in the chocolate that can actually help us produce nitric oxide levels. And you're very familiar with what the benefit of increasing nitric oxide levels does.
Yeah, we see, we work our neuropathy patients. Neuropathy is a lot more designed around a blood flow issue in the feet or hands, and so we use nitric oxide to support other issues that we're doing. But yeah, it opens up, dilates blood vessels, gets your body to produce more and new blood vessels as well. So yeah, anything to increase nitric oxide is usually a pretty good thing.
Right, so now we're leaning more towards this being a good thing. So it can actually lower your blood pressure, which in turn, because those, like you said, blood vessels are relaxed, which in turn can, translate to reduced stress on the body for sure, which is pretty cool. Okay, another really important benefit of dark chocolate is that it stimulates neural activities in the area of your brain that is associated with pleasure and joy. So that immediately can decrease stress and improve mood. And I think this is really funny because, I've got kids, and I have a girl, right? Now a girl turned woman, but I remember kind of using this thought process that you actually can't cry with a piece of dark chocolate in your mouth, and I have come to prove that as being very accurate. So it's helpful there.
I will keep that in my back pocket as I have a 10-year-old who
right.
loves chocolate.
Awesome. So when we're talking about mood improvement, if you want me to get a little bit more nerdy about this, dark chocolate actually has the amino acid tyrosine in it, and it also has tryptophan in it also. Tryptophan is a precursor to serotonin, and your tyrosine is a precursor to dopamine, and dopamine is that
happy, right?
That is like happy place. That's the type of neurotransmitter that makes you feel good, so you want to keep doing that thing that makes you feel good. Mm-hmm. So that's a very happy neurotransmitter in the body. So if we're talking about so does this mean that you should eat a ton of chocolate every day?
Probably not.
Right, exactly. So when we're talking about the studies, it says that about an ounce and a half or 48 grams of 70% organic chocolate or higher is what is going to get you these benefits, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So let's do some math here.
Yes.
What do we got on your truffles, your favorite truffles? How many ounces?
Guys. So good.
How many grams did you say?
Okay, so you need 48 grams.
Okay, so 3 pieces is less than 48 grams.
Awesome.
There you go.
There you go.
3 pieces is 36 grams.
Is 36 grams.
So you're good with a couple of these.
Right, okay. But please, guys, pay attention to the, moderation. Maybe not 3.
No, we just said you could have 3 or 4 of these, no problem.
Through the week.
We should have
1.5 ounces a week.
If we would have done this in the evening, we would have added wine to this,
yes.
And then we could have talked about, okay, you can have 4 pieces of chocolate.
And what are the benefits of
resveratrol,
right?
And how many glasses of wine?
Right, exactly. Right? So really, if we get technical, it would be 3 a week here. Awesome. And then one other strange, not strange, but
so that's per week. Let me
per
clarify.
week. Yeah, clarify per week. So 3 truffles per week.
Oh. That's way different than 3 per day.
3 truffles.
I'm not as excited by that.
I totally just grated chocolate over my berries for lunch. Good job, right? Okay. Another really another thing to note is that dark chocolate is also acts as a prebiotic, right, in the system. So if you do have, a healthy microbiome and you've got, a good distribution of good bacteria in the gut, this can actually help feed the good guys, which that's a whole nother layer of.
Yep. And so, little plug here.
Yeah.
Last week we did a podcast on gut psychology syndrome. So that was awesome. This month we're kind of piggybacking off of that on 3 or 4 other podcasts all about gut health. So we'll be talking about prebiotics, probiotics, all the things, stomach and gut health, ulcers, and food sensitivity testing, and all the things. So
yes,
pay attention to the podcast for more info on gut health and prebiotics, probiotics info.
Right. And the prebiotic, it's there to actually feed your beneficial good bacteria. So that's also the difference between eating chocolate that's super clean versus eating, some of those other chocolates, Almond Joy, Hershey's, Reese's Pieces, things like that. Because what you're getting is a lot of sugar, and what's happening is sugar is what actually helps our not so great bacteria thrive in the gut. So it is important.
Yeast, also those guys.
Exactly. Yes, the yeasty beasties, those guys too. Exactly. So, that is the down low on the whole entire chocolate thing and why some chocolate can be beneficial to you. You guys have to let me know which one you actually like best.
So this one is just all chocolate?
Just all chocolate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one is just all chocolate. Okay. So then we thought, how does this segue into the
First of all, do you guys have any questions on the chocolates or chocolate in general? We're not chocolate experts, but any questions about the benefits of chocolate or the chocolates? What about Hershey dark chocolate?
Okay, so that's a really good question. What I would do is I would start reading the back of the label, but so I'm going to show you this label. So I don't know if you guys can they see that organic, that USDA organic? Okay. So what you're looking for is that USDA organic.
Nope.
No.
I don't think you can.
You can't see it? It's on the back too.
Oh, okay.
And then you want to start reading your labels. So can you read the label on that?
Yeah, so the ingredients I can all pronounce is the big sticking point here. So the first ingredient is dark chocolate, sugar, chocolate, liqueur, cacao or cocoa butter powder, and then vanilla powder. And that's it. So 6 ingredients. Super clean.
Right. No artificial colorings, no artificial flavorings, no preservatives, no dyes.
Right.
Right.
And not not something that I can't pronounce because it's actually a chemical.
A chemical cocktail, more chemical than it is actually food.
Yep.
So,
yeah. I don't know about Hershey's. Like Angela said, read the back of it, and if you can pronounce all the words like you can on this one, then probably pretty good.
And that was Candy. Candy, who asked about candy. Okay, we definitely want to stay as organic as possible, too. So I'd look for that USDA organic symbol. This one has it, too. You guys, can you see that? Yay! That's fun. Good.
Okay, we got another question. What about cacao powder in cooking? Beneficial other than taste?
Actually, if it is, so I like green. So my favorite is actually Green and Black's organic cacao powder. And yes, I'm gonna give you guys an amazing recipe if you want it. So this is what we do at home, which is crazy. But we make a mousse out of that Green and Black's cocoa powder. What we do is in the blender we put an avocado. And we put a couple tablespoons of the organic Green and Black's cocoa powder, and we mix a little bit of maple syrup in there in the blender, and we make it to a consistency of a pudding or a mousse, and then you stick it in the refrigerator, and it's a very healthy way to enjoy the benefits of cocoa powder, right? And having a dessert actually that can actually balance blood sugar.
Yeah. The avocados are awesome.
Right? It's so good. So, so as far as in cooking, in that way, yes, so yeah.
So is there also, so you mentioned a good brand name, and it fits the same like criteria, like
green and
70%.
It is. It's 70%. It's all clean. It's USDA organic. So I like using the high quality cocoa powders because you want to get that benefit, the benefits we've been talking about, the flavonoids and the all the neural happy hormones, right?
Have you found a good hot chocolate?
Oh, you know what? Actually, better make it yourself. It's better, better make it yourself.
But you can use that.
You can use the cocoa powder and make it yourself.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are good questions.
Yeah.
Good. So treating yourself with a little bit of chocolate 3 times a week, under an ounce and a half, is one way to actually practice
a little bit of
self-care, right? So this idea of self-care, I thought this would be a really good conversation, kind of segueing into this, because I think that just really being able to allow self-care at its foundation to just be self-relating, right? To really just, right? Because I think that, and we've talked about it, one of the most important relationships you'll cultivate is with yourself. You belong to you. You take you everywhere. And it's really important to know how to take really good care of yourself, but it's not something a lot of us are accustomed to doing. First of all, we're thinking, there's lots of thoughts around that, self-care. I've heard that, and I've said self-care is not selfish, and right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was having a conversation over the weekend with some guys about how our parents' generation were not taught very well in most cases how to communicate. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or and so I feel like our generation has probably analyzed or looked at self-care a little bit more than the generation before us.
Yes.
Because it was all just about providing for the family and very much more work and then not as much balance.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we've worked, as a society, we've brought more focus to work-life balance, mental health, happiness over, just making a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I think that self-care has, probably overplayed, but also, we don't talk about it very well.
No. And this idea of self-connectedness is important because actually you just brought up 2 really important things. A really good place to start is understanding that, that is an internal work, right? That is an internal practice, right? It's not so much an external practice, but being able to, actually dial in on what you value, right? As opposed to doing more or doing less, right? Or having these crazy expectations, and I'll go into that a little bit more. But 2 really good questions to ask yourself is, wait, what do I value? Like, as a human being, what do I value? And the second question is, what's important to me? And they're 2 very simple questions, but I think a lot of us we still don't know enough about ourselves because we've gained an idea of who we are through the lens of everybody else around us.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to tune in to yourself is one of the greatest steps in providing great self-care because
well, and what do I need right now?
Oh, that's such a good question.
Right? Like, even from a body perspective, what's my body telling me I need? Oh. Right? Because sometimes it's easy to get locked into our routines and ruts where it's like, well, I do this same high intensity Orange Theory workout 3 or 5 days a week, and some days, like, your body's telling you that's not what you need right now. You actually need, like, sleep, or you need, something more restorative,
that's
or
right.
Trying to honor that a little bit more. I think
good.
Also goes, because if you're going to take time out of your schedule to exercise or work out or journal, or like, first of all, we have to create habits that build that into our schedules, right? I mean, we've talked about scheduling time to do these things. Otherwise, life runs you over, and like a year's gone by and you haven't gotten a massage, or you haven't taken a long weekend away.
Right, exactly. And being able to let those things flow out of who you are being, right, out of your value, it'll be easier to get those things done because I know that it can get very overwhelming if there's like this whole checks and balance approach, and I've got to do this and I got to do this and I got to get this in and I got to. That is again that lack of self-connectedness that you still want to be connected to yourself.
Yeah,
like
it's a fine line of
it
overscheduling.
Exactly. And then allowing things to organically and naturally unfold without the weight of expectation. So let me talk a bit about that for a minute, because that expectation I was talking about is expectation in the way of like an awaiting, right? And actually the root word of expectation means like an awaiting for things to look like exactly how you thought they would look, sound like exactly how you thought they would sound, smell exactly how they thought you would smell, fit in the exact box that they thought that you thought it could fit in. And if we live inside of that rigidity, right, we actually lose the creativity that is there for us inside of what we are doing, right? So again, more about less about like expectation and more about allowing it to naturally unfold and then present the gifts that it has for you in those moments, right? It leaves a little room for wonder, it leaves a little room for curiosity, and it cultivates creativity inside of those places. So, that's way more exciting than us trying to, make it fit and look like exactly what we thought it should look like. And it kind of just sets that, overwhelm free.
Yeah. False expectations, right?
Exactly. So, yeah, pretty fun stuff. So, self-care practice number 1 is getting to know yourself.
Yeah. What are ways to tune into that?
Okay. So answer those 2 questions, but there's some really great ways to tune into that. One is always go out and be with nature while you can. So I know you were out with nature over the weekend. Talk to me about what that did for you.
Yeah, so went skiing with a couple other families in New York, and it was clear, like, there's certain runs that were more in like pine trees, and first of all, the weather was just beautiful, blue skies, mid 40s, like gorgeous. And as soon as I crossed back over the Ohio border, gray skies. It's like, what is happening here? But yeah, beautiful couple days, but yeah, for me, the pine trees, that does something different for me than that's why I love to hike. Like, anytime I can find a good hike, like in the pine trees, that's what I miss most about Seattle is all the pine trees. Like, it's green all year, just got beautiful pines. So yeah, it was, breathing a little deeper, just able to, relax a little bit more.
It's so true. So there's a groundedness and a gratitude that comes when you're just out in nature, even if that means taking a walk, even if that means, just kind of watching a creek, and the rushing water and hearing the sound and smelling the smells and taking a deep breath, because we have such a gratitude and a gratefulness of the beauty and the miracles that are all around us, right? It just really connects us back to the creator who created it, and then just remembering, like, you're just in the midst of all of that, which is.
And there's also great ways to get creative with anchoring that. So we talk about anchors. So like in the case you just gave, like if you would go out and consistently spend time like around the same like bubbling brook or something like that, or like out in the woods with birds chirping and things like that. Now when you're spending maybe some quiet time with yourself, or even just in the car driving from appointment to appointment, put some sounds on from that, right?
Oh, wow.
And then your body can start, it's going to remember
Yes.
that gratitude and that peace.
Yes.
And some of those dopamine and serotonin and all those chemicals that are helping you feel better. There's a way to anchor that. But first, you have to have your brain set up to be able to do that. And so you have to have those experiences the first time to set that anchor, really.
Yes. And even inside of that, the comfort level with actually being alone. This is a practice, actually, and it can give you so much awareness to some of the things that maybe we bypass out of busyness, like we're working and we're doing. So it serves us like a lot of busyness, so we don't have to really sit down and think about our thoughts. Right?
Yeah. Or feelings.
Or our feelings, or our own process, like of becoming.
Those expectations.
Right, exactly. And so being able to now start having healthy communication with yourself, and actually getting comfortable with the discomfort of being alone, because it really has something to offer you, so actually getting comfortable in that space too, and then figuring out what are those incoming thoughts, and understanding that you don't have to just believe everything that drops in, right? But we can practice a good listening that later on translates to all of our other relationships, right? So if we begin relating with ourselves and communicating effectively with ourselves, and kind of listening to what we're experiencing, it can be really helpful. And I'll give you a couple of tools for that. So the types of listening skills, right? Because then this translates over to how I'm going to relate with my kids later on. It really is. And it's going to give me a sense of awareness that maybe I didn't have before. But here's another great self-care technique, okay? When you are in communication with yourself, or when you are with your own thoughts, and you are listening to these thoughts, a really good practice is to make sure that you are listening with an appreciation and a wonder and a curiosity, rather than listening with judgment, criticism. Another good one is control, like trying to control, or influence a thought, trying to talk yourself out of your thoughts, right? Anybody know what I'm talking about, right? So trying to talk yourself out of your own thoughts, but taking away all of these things, and being able to listen more with the compassion. So I want to give an example, but I'm having a hard time like coming up with something for you. So okay, ready? I'm just gonna let's make something up. Thought. I'm out with myself in nature, and I think to myself, wow, like getting my PhD would be just. I'm really interested in getting my PhD. Okay, so if I come at this thought with trying to control or influence, I will say to myself, are you freaking crazy? You've got 2 kids and you're a single mom and you've got this full-time job and there's no way that you could do that. That's just ridiculous. That's silly. So that's actually trying to, again, influence, right? Control my decision of what I am thinking rather than it just being what it is. Or if I do it with judgment and criticism, that would be more like, you're not smart enough to do that. Like, again, right? But being able to start this communication and dialogue with yourself, or even not out of, judgment, or there's another one, a victimization. There is victimization listening. So that would lead me to a place of, if I'm listening with victimization, I'll be like, this is a hard one for me actually, but it's not, but it is. But yeah. So if I'm listening with a victimization agenda, I'm going to say, oh, I'd really like to get my PhD. And then I will actually be like, oh, you know what, but nobody, none of my family's ever done that before. So, I don't think I can do that. So that's more of a victimization type of dialogue pattern there.
And I would also say that, if you find yourself having like consistently the same self-talk, probably more than likely you're viewing what other people say through the same lens.
That's right.
So somebody may say or do something completely, not even inadvertently, but they just say XYZ.
Right.
But the lens that you just filtered that through makes you say to yourself,
that's good.
I'm too stupid.
That's
good.
Yes.
I could never do that. Right. And so even though the person wasn't saying that at all,
right,
it's easy to take that next jump to doing that. But trying to understand or be aware of the thoughts that but I guess you could go vice versa, right? Too, right? Where if you're constantly feeling like, after having conversations with people, I'm feeling this way, check in with yourself, and
that's right.
Are you even, while you're mentally having conversations,
right,
saying the same things?
Right. And unhooking from belief patterns that no longer serve your highest good or even your growth. And that's really important. But what you're saying is, because when you adopt other people's onsets of beliefs, you're living their lives. You're not living your life. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, okay. Communication with yourself. Yes. Right? Great self-care. We got be in nature, have great communication dialogue, get comfortable being alone with yourself. And now I'm going to flip it over. Great self-care techniques. Ready? So after you've had that time, then ready? You need community. You need people who are in alignment with you. You need to have great conversations with really life-giving people. That's another form of an amazing self-care technique.
That's been super. I would say that one of the things that has made the biggest difference in my life in the last 6 months has been getting together with a really amazing group of guys once a week, and just sometimes it'll just be grabbing breakfast, and sometimes we'll be going through a book, and sometimes it's depends on where everyone's at, but having that, I would have said that I didn't need that, but now after having that, I am super, super grateful for that. Mm-hmm. So community means a lot more to me, I would say, in the last year or two.
That's so great. Oh, okay. And then as far... Yeah.
So someone is asking about, they were talking about, having a tough time prioritizing self-care or feeling guilty about it.
Okay.
So what are some ways that we can make that more of a priority, or maybe not even make it a priority, but just feel less bad about it?
Okay. I think actually finding out, first of all, always asking yourself where those thoughts came from. I think that's really important. So if I feel bad, I want to address this actually. So if I feel bad about taking time for myself or taking some time for self care, I want to make sure that I'm not living in the extremes of an or type of a tyranny. So, okay, ready? So sometimes our perspective is I can take care of my family or I can take care of myself. Okay? And being able to shift it into I can take care of my family and I can take care of myself. And even if it's in a small window in which it's like, you know, I call a friend, right? And I've got 30 minutes, or I'm in the car because I'm going from point A to point B, you know, and I'm listening to a podcast or I'm reading a book. Those are other great self-care techniques, guys, by the way. You know, things that you breathing, things that light you up, like just being able to you know, just decompress, or even like, I know it sounds funny, but let loose, have fun, and dance in the living room. Like those things are all self-care techniques. And you can do them in an and. It doesn't have to be either or. Once it becomes and, we can all benefit from it, right? So we can all practice self-care and dance in the living room together, and I am serving myself and my children.
Yeah. Well, and you're teaching your children how to do that oftentimes, right? They see mom is taking time for herself, and she's telling me that this is important, so, you know, now I know it's okay for me to take time for myself.
That's right. Not only that, but then you're teaching them this practice of being able to honor limitations and healthy boundaries, even though they may feel uncomfortable with it, right? Because it's all gonna bring up all these feelings, like, you know, and even on their side too, you know. But being able to teach this, you know, honey, it's not one or the other. I just want to be a better mom, you know, this week. So, you know, I'm gonna go get my nails done, which I haven't done since June, but yeah, okay.
Me neither.
So.
Any questions on, or questions, comments, other advice on the self-care aspect of things before we get going? We're a little over 30 minutes, but I think this was important for people to hear and start to take away. Going once, going twice. All right. Well, this was fun. Hope everyone enjoyed their chocolates. We're going to be doing this again next month, probably the second or third week of March. If you have suggestions on what you would like us to do a little lunch and learn on, hop into the Up the Ladder Facebook page and either message us or just drop a post in there with some suggestions on what you would like to hear. Maybe we'll just follow up with like gut health, answer questions on that, and do some major takeaways on that. But any other comments or suggestions or ideas for that, just let us know. We are, like I said, doing this to better react. I missed the chocolate part, but naps are my favorite self-care thing.
Oh, yay! Peggy, that was so smart.
Naps.
Yes, naps are awesome. Yes. Ooh, yes.
And then this will be on the page. So, Peggy, if you want to go back and listen to the chocolate part of that, that will be that'll be up in just a couple minutes after this processes or does whatever it does to show up. So. We'll see you next month. We're going to be in and out of the group the next couple of weeks. So, again, reach out, and thanks for checking in with us. This was a lot of fun.
So much fun.
Yeah. Bye.